Have you ever felt like your life was just a dark room, a place where every single door was locked tight? My name's Will. I'm 40 years old now with a wonderful wife and a little boy who calls me Dad. But to get here, I had to walk through a road I honestly thought I'd die on. And today, I just want to tell you the raw, unfiltered truth about what I've been through. I grew up in a single-parent home in this working-class part of Essex, the kind of place you can picture instantly: public schools, low expectations, gray streets. My dad died before I was old enough to remember his face, so it was just me and my mom. But my mom was sick all the time. Our little house always smelled like disinfectant. The sound of her oxygen machine was the soundtrack of my childhood. I remember nights lying in bed, heart pounding, terrified I'd wake up in the morning and she'd be gone. Whether I liked it or not, her sickness shaped me. That relationship marked me in ways I'm still uncovering, but it left me with this deep sense of anxiety, shame, and the constant feeling that I wasn't enough. You know, I think all of us are born with this deep spiritual hunger, this need to connect, to be seen, to be loved. But the culture we grow up in tells us that what we need is success stuff, status. My first attempt to deal with that loneliness was to try to be someone to get noticed. But when you use something temporary to try and fix a permanent ache in your soul, you're always gonna fail. Still looking back now, buried inside all that loneliness, all that shame, all that feeling of being worthless was a seed, a painful, brutal gift life had given me, a seed that would one day save my life. After my mom passed away when I was 21, it felt like the whole world just stopped breathing. The house was too quiet. The one person I'd fought my whole life to protect was gone. And with her went any sense of safety I'd ever had. That kind of emptiness, it doesn't just hurt, it swallows you. I didn't want to feel anymore. I didn't want to wake up in my own skin. So I turned to crack, heroin, booze, anything that could mute the screaming inside my head. Drugs weren't about fun. They were my way of surviving. One hit, one shot, one drink at a time. I was just trying to silence the voice that kept whispering, "You're worthless. You're alone. You'll never be enough." Looking back now, I see it so clearly. I was self-medicating trauma. Science says that when you grow up in constant fear, like listening to machines keep your mom alive every night, your brain gets stuck in survival mode. Your nervous system never shuts off. Cortisol, adrenaline. They keep flooding your body until feeling calm feels impossible. And drugs, they work, at least at first. Heroin soothed the panic in my chest. Crack made me feel alive for a few minutes when I'd felt dead for years. Alcohol numbed everything until I couldn't even hear my own thoughts. It felt like medicine, but it was poison. I wasn't partying, I was disappearing. Every line, every needle, every drink was me saying, I can't handle this world. I can't handle myself. It wasn't until much later, after I got clean, that I realized I'd been living in a constant state of panic since I was a kid. I thought anxiety was just normal. That hollow pit in my stomach, that buzzing in my head, I thought that was life. I'll never forget the first time I told my story in rehab. I was 27. Shaking, exhausted, feeling like a ghost. A man named Chip Summers read my file, looked at me and said, "Poor lonely little boy." And those words shattered me. Because he was right. My life wasn't just about drugs. It was about a boy who had no idea how to feel safe. Addiction wasn't the core problem. It was just the evidence of a deeper wound, a lack of connection. I was disconnected from myself, from people, and from God. And when I say God, I don't mean some guy in the sky judging you. I mean that force of unity, that higher power that makes life feel worth living. Because if you don't find something sacred to worship, you will worship something else. Money, power, your own pain. I worshipped oblivion. So, my first solution to feeling so small and broken was to try to be somebody, to get money, attention, and status, to drown out the shame. Culture tells us you're not enough until you're successful. Back in the 90s, that message was loud enough. Now, it's deafening, flashing at us from every screen. But no matter what I achieved inside, I was still that terrified boy hiding in a hospital-smelling house, praying his mom would survive the night. Drugs became my way of rewriting reality, and for a long time, they were the only thing that worked, until they didn't. Looking back now, I see there was never some magic switch to get out of that darkness. Recovery wasn't one big aha moment. It was 1,000 tiny choices made over and over to keep fighting when everything in me wanted to quit. The first time I walked out of rehab, I thought I was fixed. I thought I'd made it. But addiction doesn't let go that easy. I slipped more than once, and every time I relapsed, the shame cut deeper. I remember looking at myself in the mirror one night, hands shaking, eyes bloodshot, whispering to myself, "You're broken. You'll never get this right." That's what people don't tell you about recovery. It's not just the withdrawals or cravings that crush you. It's the shame. It's the fear that maybe you'll always be this way. But I kept going back. I kept showing up to meetings even when I hated myself. And that, honestly, is what saved me. The 12 steps gave me language for something I'd never had words for: surrender. And surrender wasn't about giving up. It was about admitting I couldn't do this alone. Science says addiction rewires your brain. The part of your brain that makes rational choices gets hijacked by your survival instincts. I wasn't weak. My brain was literally stuck in survival mode. I needed a new map, a new wiring. And I found that through people, through repetition, through spiritual practice. So I started building a toolbox for my life meetings, a room full of people who'd been where I'd been, who didn't flinch when I told the truth. Meditation and prayer. To quiet my nervous system and give my brain a break from chaos. Journaling. To face the thoughts I used to drown with heroin and booze. Exercise. To remind myself I live in a body, not just a storm of thoughts. But most importantly, I had to become the father I never had. I had to learn how to love myself, but also hold myself accountable. I had to look at that scared little boy inside of me and say, "You're safe now. I've got you." Every day felt like a battle with my own mind, but little by little something shifted. Science says our brains are plastic. They can heal, they can rewire, they can grow new pathways. And I felt it. What used to be chaos started turning into moments of stillness. I stopped worshiping oblivion. I started choosing connection, and that's when it clicked. Recovery isn't about fixing yourself, it's about remembering who you are underneath all that pain. Now, when I walk down the same streets where I used to score heroin, I don't feel tempted. I feel grateful. I see the ghost of the man I used to be, and I thank God I'm still here. I'm alive because I finally stopped running from myself and started building a life worth staying for. When I started putting my life back together, I didn't expect love to find me. I was still raw, scarred by years of addiction, shame, and self-doubt. I didn't feel worthy, but then I met her. She didn't see me as a broken man or just an addict in recovery. She looked at me like I was whole, like I was worth loving exactly as I was. And that kind of love, it doesn't just heal you, it resurrects you. For the first time in years, I didn't want to run. I didn't want to hide. I wanted to live. Then came my son. Holding him in my arms for the first time, it was like the whole world stopped spinning. This tiny heartbeat pressed against my chest. This little human who didn't care about my past, didn't judge my mistakes. He just needed me. I needed to be here. That moment changed everything. I knew I could never go back to the man I was. I left the career that drained my soul, the one that made me a ghost in my own home, and I chose a new path. A path that let me live in line with my values, to actually help people to use my story for something real. Because my boy deserves a father who's alive, not just breathing. My wife deserves a husband who loves her with every sober breath he takes. You asked me about love. Real love, the kind I have for my wife. My son, it's more than romance or biology. It's sacred. It's a memory etched in every cell of our bodies, a memory of unity. Science tells us we all came from the same explosion of energy, the Big Bang. Before we were people, we were a single cell, then two, then something so small, yet so full of life. Love is that memory that pulls back to wholeness. That's why it feels so powerful, because it's truth. Being a dad has humbled me more than anything else ever could. When I watch my son sleep, I see redemption. When I hear him laugh, I feel a joy I didn't know I could feel. And yes, being a parent is also heartbreak, because every day I prepare him for a future I won't fully walk with him into. That truth is heavy, but it's holy. And my wife, she's the anchor that kept me from drifting back into darkness. She saw me when I couldn't see myself. She believed in the man I could become. I'll never stop being grateful for that. So, now I live by something simple: tell the truth and love everyone. It's not easy, but fatherhood teaches you how. My son is my reason to stay clean, to stay humble, and to keep showing up. My family is proof that no matter how far gone you think you are, love can find you, heal you, and give you a reason to keep fighting. You know, if there's one thing this whole journey has taught me, it's this: you have to forgive yourself. You can't let your past write your future. I used to think my mistakes, my addictions, my failures, that they were all I'd ever be known for. But recovery showed me something different. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. No one gets better alone. It takes community. It takes love. My life now, it's not perfect, but I'm proud of the man I've become. We're living in a world that's constantly curated, edited, and filled with noise. It's hard to tell what's real anymore, what's a genuine cry for help, and what's just a media storm. But when I look closely, even at the people I disagree with, the kids who idolize Andrew Tate, the far-left activists, the far-right voices, I see something in common. We're all searching for meaning, for connection, for something to believe in. And that's the greatest lesson I've learned. We have way more in common than what divides us. If we want to change the world, we have to start by reaching out to the very people we don't understand. Not fake connection, real, honest connection grounded in respect. Because only loving people who think like us, that doesn't change anything. I can disagree with you about guns, abortion, identity, tradition, or progress, but I can still respect you. I can still love you. I know I don't know everything you know. I'm not God. I have no authority over you. But I believe we can create common ground, built on trust, love, and humility. We can't give in to censorship, not because I want hate to run wild, but because if we give someone the power to silence others, we have to ask who gets to decide what's okay to say. Do you really know who's pulling those strings? I've looked into it, and I can tell you, I'm not handing over that kind of power. Here's what I've learned: you have more in common with the people you think you hate than with the systems telling you they'll protect you. Those same systems, they often profit from keeping us divided. Am I optimistic? Absolutely. Because God is real. Because I believe there will come a day when we all realize that what unites us is so much greater than what separates us. If you made me president of the world tomorrow, here's what I'd do. I'd bring power as close to the people as possible. I'd prioritize decentralization and community control. I'd put schools, hospitals, and basic services back in the hands of the people who actually use them. We're not competing with some utopian fantasy. We're competing with a broken, corrupt system. The world doesn't need more people believing in God. It needs those of us who already do to start living like it's true. Imagine a hospital that isn't owned by a corporation, but by the nurses, the janitors, the doctors who pour their lives into it. Imagine what that kind of pride and ownership would do. There's nothing wrong with honest capitalism, creating something valuable and being paid for it. The problem is, the monster we've built a system that consumes even our souls for profit. The truth is, heaven's already here. We just don't see it. Change starts with consciousness, with choosing to believe in transformation and then living like it's possible. History proves it over and over again. Faith and action change the world. Technology, science, medicine, they can save us if we free them from greed and corruption. But first, we have to shift how we see everything. Recognize this planet is just a tiny rock spinning in a vast universe. See that we're wildly different but deeply connected. Take responsibility to become the person you were born to be. And if you don't know who that is yet, find a guide, find a system, a community that will help you uncover it, because together we can change this world, one honest, loving step at a time. You might be thinking, okay, Will, that all sounds inspiring, but I'm sitting here in my apartment, broke, anxious, maybe hungover, feeling like I'm at rock bottom. How the hell do I even start climbing this so-called mountain? I get it. I really do. I've been there. And here's the truth, you don't climb Everest in a day. You start with one honest step. For me, that first step was taking care of my body. Not some crazy juice cleanse or gym boot camp. Just basic things, drinking water, eating real food, taking a shower, walking around the block. It sounds simple, but when you treat your body like it deserves to survive, your mind starts to heal too. Then came stillness. Meditation and prayer felt awkward at first. I didn't grow up doing that, but I started with just 2 minutes of breathing and admitting, I don't have all the answers. That was my first real act of surrender. And here's something I wish someone told me back then: feeling hopeless is normal. Every hero you've ever read about, Gandhi, Malcolm X, Mandela, they didn't start out fearless. They started out broken. Change always begins in the dark. So if you're in that place right now, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're right where you're supposed to be. Recovery taught me this. When you live with intention, even small steps ripple out. Gandhi's famous line, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," that's not just a quote for Instagram. That's survival. Change doesn't start in Congress or at the White House. It starts in your mind, your heart. Your mind, that's your kingdom, your sacred territory. Nobody, no government, no corporation, no algorithm has the right to own it, but they're trying. They want your attention, your focus, your soul. Your attention is holy ground. That's why I live almost like a monk with Wi-Fi. I have to be intentional about what I eat, what I say, what I do, because if I'm not, I slide right back into chaos. Every morning starts the same. I pray, I meditate, I do something kind for someone without them knowing. I check in with other men in recovery because helping them keeps me alive. I put myself through extremes, cold plunges that jolt me awake, heat so intense it feels like my skin's melting. Not because I'm some masochist, but because it reminds me pain is temporary and I'm stronger than I think. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a few times a week. There's nothing like putting your life in someone's hands, someone who could choke you out but doesn't. That's trust. That's community. That's the opposite of addiction, where you isolate and hide. And here's the biggest lesson: your wounds aren't curses, they're keys. Every scar, every relapse, every heartbreak you've carried, that's not just pain, it's a map. It's the doorway to your greatest strength. I stopped running from my pain. I started letting it teach me, and the same pain you think is going to kill you. That's the pain that will one day save somebody else. Healing isn't a weekend retreat. It's not a product you buy, it's a daily grind. Showing up for yourself every single day, even when nobody's watching. So if you're lost, here's where you can start today. Breathe for 3 minutes. Close your eyes. Feel your feet on the ground. Let yourself just be. Call one safe person. Tell them how you really feel. No mask, no script. Spend 30 minutes building your future. Learn something new. Move toward the life you want, one step at a time. That's it. 3 small steps. And if all you can do is one today, do one. Because the moment you stop running from yourself, the moment you start living, like every breath is holy, that's when everything changes. You know, I've shared my story with you today, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but this isn't just about me. I want to hear your story too. You don't have to carry everything alone. None of us do. Drop a comment, share where you're at, what you're struggling with, or what's been helping you heal. This channel, The Truth MD, is a space where we're building something real, a community of people who've been through the fire and are choosing to rise. So, if this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button, join us, and help grow this space. The more we share, the more we remind each other we're not broken beyond repair. We're in this together. Thanks for being here. And remember, healing isn't a solo mission. We rise together.